Once upon a time in a bustling village in India, there lived a tailor named Ramu and Samu. They had their shops right next to each other on the same narrow street where the morning sun painted golden stripes across the dusty road. Ramu was a hardworking man who believed that success came only through endless hours of labor. Every morning he woke up before dawn, even before the roosters began their calls. He would light his oil lamp and start stitching immediately, his fingers moving rapidly across the cloth. He worked without pause, barely stopping to eat his simple meals of rice and dal. His wife would bring him tea, but he would drink it while his hands continued to sew. He believed that the more hours he worked, the more successful he would become. Samu, on the other hand, was different. He too was dedicated to his craft, but he approached his work with a different philosophy. He would arrive at his shop a little later than Ramu, but he would spend the first hour carefully planning his day. He would organize his threads, sharpen his scissors, and think about the most efficient way to complete his orders. The villagers noticed the difference between the two tailors. "Look at Ramu," they would whisper. "He works from sunrise to midnight. Such dedication. Such hard work." They would shake their heads when they saw Samu closing his shop in the evening while Ramu's lamp still burned bright. Months passed and both tailors received plenty of orders. Ramu would accept every single order that came his way, never saying no to anyone. His pile of unfinished clothes grew taller each day. He would stitch frantically, his eyes red from exhaustion, his fingers sore and sometimes bleeding from the constant needle pricks. Yet he never complained. "Hard work is the key to success," he would mutter to himself, pushing through the pain and tiredness. Samu also received many orders, but he handled them differently. He would carefully examine each piece of cloth and think about the best way to cut it to minimize waste. He invested some of his earnings in a better sewing machine that could stitch faster and more neatly. He trained his young apprentice Krishna to help him with simpler tasks while he focused on the more complex work that required his expertise. One day a wealthy merchant named Lala Heridas came to the village. He needed 300 identical shirts for his workers and he needed them within 1 month. This was a huge order that could bring great profit to whoever completed it. The merchant visited both shops. Ramu immediately said yes without hesitation. "I will work day and night, sir. You can count on me," he promised enthusiastically, already imagining the money he would earn. Samu thought carefully before responding. "Give me 1 day to plan, sir. I will come to your house tomorrow with my answer." Lala Heridas was impressed by Ramu's enthusiasm and gave him the order. Ramu started working immediately, cutting cloth and stitching with great speed. He worked 18 hours a day. His wife begged him to rest, but he refused. "This is my big chance," he told her. "I cannot waste a single moment." Meanwhile, Samu went home and thought deeply about the order. The next morning, he visited Lala Heridas. "Sir, I can also complete this order for you and I can deliver it in 25 days instead of 30. The merchant was surprised. "How is that possible? Ramu is already working himself to exhaustion and you think you can finish even faster." Samu smiled gently. "Sir, I have a plan. I will use a cutting method that allows me to cut 10 shirts at once instead of 1 at a time. I will create a pattern for the stitching that my apprentice can follow. I will work smart, not just hard." Impressed by his confidence, the merchant decided to give Samu half the order. "Whoever finishes first and with better quality will get my future business," he declared. Both tailors began their race. Ramu continued his exhausting routine, barely sleeping, barely eating. His stitches became uneven as his tired eyes struggled to focus. He made mistakes and had to redo several shirts, which cost him precious time. His health began to suffer and his hands trembled from overwork. Samu worked steadily but intelligently. He spent the first 2 days creating a perfect pattern and training Krishna properly. He arranged his workspace so that everything he needed was within easy reach. He took regular breaks to rest his eyes and stretch his fingers. He knew that a fresh mind made fewer mistakes. He also used his time wisely. While Krishna worked on simple stitching, Samu would cut the next batch of cloth. When the afternoon sun made the shop too hot to work comfortably, they would take a short rest. But they would use that time to sort buttons and prepare materials for the evening session. As the days passed, the difference became clear. Ramu was falling behind his schedule despite working longer hours. His tired mind made him slow and inefficient. Mistakes piled up, and he spent hours fixing errors that he would not have made if he were well rested. Samu and Krishna worked as a smooth team, each shirt coming out perfect and neat. They finished their portion in exactly 25 days, just as Samu had promised. When Lala Heridas came to collect the shirts, he was amazed. Samu's shirts were beautifully made with even stitches and perfect sizing. Ramu, despite working himself to near collapse, had only completed 200 shirts, and many of them had flaws. The merchant paid both Tailor fairly for the work they completed, but he made his decision clear. From now on, all my orders will go to Samu. He has shown me that intelligence and planning matter more than just hard work alone. Ramu felt heartbroken and confused. But I worked so much harder than him, he cried. I sacrificed my sleep, my health, and my time with my family. How is this fair? Samu walked over to his neighbor and friend. He placed a gentle hand on Ramu's shoulder. My dear friend, he said kindly, you have the heart of a lion and the dedication of a saint. But you have been burning yourself like a candle without realizing that you could be the sun instead. He continued, hard work is important, very important. But when we add smart thinking to hard work, we become unstoppable. A farmer who works hard with a dull blade will achieve less than a farmer who takes time to sharpen his tools. Our hands can only work so many hours, but our minds can find ways to multiply our efforts. Tears rolled down Ramu's cheeks as understanding dawned on him. Will you teach me your ways, my friend? He asked humbly. Somu smiled warmly. We will learn from each other. You will teach me your dedication, and I will share my methods. Together, we will become the best tailor in all of India. From that day forward, the two tailors worked together, combining Ramu's incredible dedication with Samu's smart planning. Their partnership became legendary in the village, and people came from distant towns to order clothes from them. And they lived happily and prosperously, always remembering that true success comes not from working hard alone nor from being clever alone, but from the beautiful combination of both.